I'm not sure.
Edition of Bucknell Women's Tennis Through the Decades. My name's Todd Newcomb, and tonight we bring you a special decade. These are the pioneers of the women's tennis program at Bucknell. We have the ladies from the 1970s on tonight, joining head coach Tammy Cicchini and one of our current student athletes, Sofia Ayuso, who is a senior from Nueva Esparta, Venezuela. And we're really excited to have her on. We thank her for taking the time out. I want to thank Geisinger, our sponsor for tonight's event. Geisinger has done a great job throughout the pandemic for our local and surrounding communities. And as always, they do a fantastic job with our student athletes here at Bucknell on a day in and day out basis. So thank you to Geisinger. So as I mentioned, we have the 1970s on. We've got a great group of guests, and I'm going to get right to introducing them. I'm going to introduce them with their maiden name. So you will recognize, if you're a Bucknellian, you might recognize their name better by their maiden name. And if they choose to identify their married name, they can do that when we get to them during our segment. Our first guest from the class of 1977 is Jody Campana. Jody was the team captain for the 1976-1977 season. She won 72% of all her matches, including a 15-7 record in singles and a 6-1 doubles mark. Our next guest from the class of 1978 is Louise King. She was the team captain for the 77-78 season. She went 32-7 in singles play, winning 82.1% of her matches, which ranks third all time at Bucknell. She was 2-1 in doubles competition. Combined, she won 84% of every match she played while she was wearing the orange and blue. She won the Bison Club Award at the Athletic Department's Senior Awards Dinner. Our next guest from the class of 1980 is Diana Burns. She was a team captain for the 79-80 season. She went 29-13 in singles play and 11-5 in doubles. And combined, she won 69% of all of her matches while at Bucknell. Our next guest, you might recognize the last name, Donna Burns from the class of 1980. Her daughter, Vanessa, graduated from Bucknell in 2012. She was a team captain for the 79-80 season, went 25-20 in singles play and 12-3 in doubles play. And she won 62% of all of her matches while at Bucknell. Our next guest from the class of 1981 is Janice Huber. She was the team captain for the 80-81 season. She went 27-20 in singles play and 15-6 in doubles. And combined, she also won 62% of all her matches while at Bucknell. And our final guest from the class of 81 as well, Kirsten Schubauer, her son Andrew, Bucknell grad 2012, and her son Eric, a 2015 graduate, and it was a swimmer for the orange and blue here at Bucknell. She was the team captain for the 80-81 season. She went 15-6 in doubles and won 17 singles matches. She won 53% of all of her matches at Bucknell. So, Coach, we've got the pioneers of the program, women on the first varsity teams here at Bucknell. Let's have some fun. I'm going to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I definitely feel like this is going to be a fun group. So, well, hello. Thank you so much for joining Sophia and I tonight. Before we start asking you some questions about your Bucknell memories, I'm going to start with you, Janice. You got the first question.
Okay.
Can you please tell us a little bit about you right now? Where do you call home? An update on your family. Please tell us about your career. And lastly, please tell us about any pets that you may have.
Okay. All right. I live in Delaware, and I have two daughters. One is the one who is setting me up on the Zoom. She's a pediatric nurse at the Children's Hospital here in Delaware. And then my other daughter is in New York City doing pediatric and adult occupational therapy.
Mm-hmm. How about you? What are you doing? Okay.
Well, I currently work at a private school. We have grades pre-K through grade 12. So what I do, I wear several different hats. In the morning, I drive their transportation van. So I go around and pick up the kids for school and bring them to school and take them home in the evenings. And then I do some what they call guest teaching, which is basically substitute teaching. Mm-hmm. And then I also work in their extended day program, that the hours of maybe 3 to 6 in the afternoon when we have children there, grades age 3 through grade 8, in that time period where school's over, but the parents can't come to pick up the kids right away.
Right.
So, yeah, and when I'm not at work, I'm playing tennis.
Okay. So you're playing in a ladies league?
I play in a lot of different leagues. I play in the USTA leagues. I participate in the Delaware Senior Olympics program.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, and then just socially, play for fun a lot. So yeah.
So in the ladies league, are you doing all of them, like the combo, the mixed, or are you just doing the?
Yeah, I have over the years. I captained a league team for 20 years.
Oh wow. Okay.
So over the years I've played in the mixed leagues, the women's adult leagues, the world team tennis leagues, the corporate leagues. The,
That's a lot of leagues.
Now I'm playing in the senior leagues, but yeah, no, it's a sort of this summer I'm playing in a couple of the senior leagues, and then I am going to play in like the 40. It's split up between the 18 and over, 40 and over, 55 and over. So,
well, that's great. Tennis is definitely a sport of a lifetime. So I love it. So, Louise, how about you? What are you doing?
So I live in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
Okay.
And actually, today is my husband's birthday and my granddaughter's birthday.
Oh, happy birthday.
Yeah, so that's a fun thing. And my two sons, I have two sons, and one lives in Connecticut and one lives in Pittsburgh. And I have two stepkids, and they both live in Pittsburgh, and they're married, and they have daughters. So we have 3 granddaughters in Pittsburgh.
Okay.
And I will be retiring after a 40-year career this December with a nonprofit historic preservation group, Pittsburgh History and Landmarks Foundation. It became a very demanding job, and it was a wonderful job, and learned a lot about history and architecture in my hometown, and was involved in many of the educational programs and publications. And before that, I worked for 3.5 years in Pittsburgh with a small publishing company. So I'm definitely looking forward to retirement. And haven't played tennis for years and years and years, although I did marry a tennis pro. So it's just that when they come home, they don't want to play tennis again. And I had kids who played ice hockey. So I have not followed in Janice's footsteps, although I did play tennis at Bucknell and choose to play tennis at Bucknell rather than field hockey because I knew it was a sport for the lifetime.
Yep.
So maybe in the end, I'll get back to it. I did play some paddle tennis for a while.
Okay.
So that's about it.
In our last phone call, we were talking about pickleball. Have you tried that yet?
I really want to play pickleball. I know that it's big, and I think it would be easier on my body. And so I'm really looking forward to having my husband be my partner in pickleball, and then we'd be really good.
Yeah, I've heard great things about pickleball. Like they are crazy about it. So I'll have to try it again. I'll have to try it myself soon. So thank you. Kristen, how about you? Oh, you're still on mute, Kristen. Yep. There you go. Hi.
Hello.
There you go.
I don't really play much tennis anymore. I play very, very little. My body hasn't really let me do a whole lot of racket sports, tennis, and other things in the last 10 years or so. But I play socially a little bit for fun. So, and I do other stuff to keep me going. And I see Donna very regularly, so this is great. And Diana, I was in like all these people's weddings. It's so amazing. But that's like the amazing thing about Bucknell and what Bucknell tennis was even back in our day when it was a very, very different landscape than what it is now. But I live here on Long Island where I grew up, and I have 2 boys, Andrew and Eric. Both of them are Bucknell graduates. One lives in Wyoming and one lives in Florida, so they are not near me, but I do get to see the one in Wyoming relatively often, not as much in COVID, but because I have a place in Jackson Hole, so
Okay.
I go out there as much as I can. And I do not, I was a civil engineering major at Bucknell, and I worked in that world, in the construction world for a while, but my life now is pretty much volunteer work. So I actually sit on the board of trustees at Bucknell and
Oh,
have
wow.
a couple of other boards that I sit on that are pretty near and dear to me. So and other than that, I have a lot of elder care in my life because my parents live around the corner and I take care of them. And I have my 14-year-old lab sitting here and I take care of him. So, that's
Yeah.
pretty much where I am.
Okay. And you're living in Long Island.
I do still live on Long Island, which is where I
Okay.
grew up.
Got it. So Donna, is that where you're from too? Obviously, right? Are you from New York, Long Island?
Well,
the Burns twins are from
Connecticut.
Connecticut, across the sound.
Okay.
yeah. We're from Connecticut, but I've lived in New Jersey for many decades now. I married a fellow Bucknellian, Bill Charlton, 36 years ago, I think, if I can remember that far back. Let's see, we have 2 adult children, as you mentioned. One did attend Bucknell. Let's see, career, I guess my business partner and I started an investment advisory firm in 1984, and I did that for 25 plus years, and the last 10 I've been doing a variety of other things, and have made time in the last 10, if I can lift my arm above my head, to do things like paddle tennis and a little bit of tennis. I saw Janice on the circuit. Jody and I get together regularly to do tennis and paddle and all sorts of fun things. So just trying to keep it together. That's it.
Did you meet your husband while you were at Bucknell?
I did, and I did.
Okay. Sounds good.
Hi, Kirsten. So, yes. No.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I got
meet
to
him.
see.
We've been married since 1984. Yeah.
Oh, that's wonderful.
So we have a lot of contact, needless to say, with Bucknellians. It's been great.
Great. Hi, Diana. How are you?
Hi, I'll try to make sure I'm off
Yep,
mute.
you are. We can hear you.
Big challenge. So I'm in Connecticut. I returned home and I have 2 grown daughters that live very close near me. So I get to see them all the time, and they each have a child. So I have a little boy and a little girl grandbaby to keep me busy. I still work. I work for a global chemical distribution company. I am the director of human resources, and that's a very busy job. I'm responsible for the Americas, which is North and South America. So when I'm not working, I'm with my family. I have not played tennis for quite some time. But I did take up competitive running for quite some time, doing like half marathons and things locally, just to try to keep active. So that was great. One of my knees isn't very happy from all of that, but it was a lot of fun.
So what's competitive running?
That would be, just all the local races. As I said, I did do the Philly half marathon and a couple of other big ones, but I prefer smaller ones, like regional half marathons and just local races. So
marathon.
Yeah.
Okay. Wow.
So, but I'd love to get into pickleball and get back to some racket sports. So that would be my dream.
Right.
So that's where I am.
Cool. Thank you. Hi, Jody. How about you?
Am I on or not on?
We hear you.
So after Bucknell, I went and got a physician's assistant degree at Rutgers Medical School, and then worked first job as a PA. And my husband's orthopedic surgeon. He practices locally here in Morristown, New Jersey. And I left medicine after going down to DC because the laws for PAs back in the 80s were not what they are today. And I was doing everything in New York, and then wasn't going to be able to do much more than a nurse would be. And so I got out of that, started working in pharma for about 7 years. Took a little time off. I have 4 children. None of them went to Bucknell. That is sad for me. In fact, the first one went to Colgate. I could barely cut the check. But you can't go to another Patriot League school. You're not going to Bucknell. But anyway, she went there and she loved it. So, and she works, she does something with artificial intelligence, and she's
Oh,
married.
wow.
We're expecting our first grandchild in May. No, and then my second son, he's working in finance in the city, and he was to get married last June, is getting married this June, we hope, if COVID doesn't get it twice. And then my third daughter is an orthopedic surgeon. She just is finishing her 5th year of her residency and is going to do a fellowship next year in pediatric orthopedics. And she's supposed to get married, but we just bounced her wedding for the second time. So we don't know, that'll happen sometime. And then my fourth one is an oncology nurse, and she's engaged too, but she doesn't even think about when she's going to get married, and I'm fine with that. I can barely think about 3 weddings at one time.
That's a lot of weddings to be planning.
Well, there's a lot of weddings to keep canceling. Let's just put it that way. So, we're going to wait till COVID is pretty much done. But so I have one in Nashville, and my son's actually moving to West Palm to avoid the New Jersey taxes. And my daughter is going to be in Atlanta, and then my other one's in Morristown. So I've got only one locally, unfortunately, but whatever, I'll take it. I am working in financial planning and wealth management now for 15 years, my 16th year now in Morristown with a group. I like it. It's a fun career. It's sort of the merger of probably my skill sets of, working with clients, helping people, and, working with numbers, which is what I like. I do play tennis, not as well, but I play, still have fun with it, and have great social circle from tennis and paddle tennis. Get to see Donna fairly regularly. In fact, Donna and I were a good duo for many years, and we, I think we did Bucknell proud. We probably had a better win record after Bucknell even then. Right, Donna? Wouldn't you say? No one will know, so we can tell you that. We had fun, and I volunteer. I started a nonprofit in 2014 on the opioid epidemic, and so I'm the board chair right now. We just opened up a new facility in Bernardsville, and we're going strong. I've got 7 employees, and that keeps me busy as well. So, and no one said they're pets, but I'm very proud of my 2 dogs and my coworkers currently. I have Mickey, as in Mickey Mantle, and Winnie, as in Dave Winfield. So that's my story.
Well, what kind of dogs are they?
A cockapoo and a mini golden doodle.
Okay. So do any of your children play tennis?
Not really as their primary sport. No. No.
Okay.
I swim a lot too. I mean, I think that's been my longevity play, because I do a lot of swimming and yoga so that I can play tennis.
Right.
I swim 2 days a week.
Right. Well, Jody, I'm going to stay with you for my next question. So, okay. Recruiting is nonstop for me. I'm always doing recruiting, and this is my second year here at Bucknell, and the interest in Bucknell is absolutely amazing. I made 160 phone calls last year talking to recruits, so it's absolutely amazing. So, and I tell my recruits the ultimate goal is for them to be happy. So, can you tell us what your recruiting experience was like, and how you made your way to Bucknell, and why did you choose Bucknell?
Oh, geez, it was different back then.
Yeah.
You kind of just, you wrote down, you had an interest in things. So I think the coach got my name from signing something that I was interested. I don't think that was recruiting. I don't know that I was recruited, because I don't think anybody was, I don't know, were you guys recruited? It was sort of like, I played tennis, I had an admission interview, and I just, showed up, and we had to play playoff matches, and that was kind of it. And, whittled down from a lot of people to a few people, because I think everybody that played high school tennis showed up. And then, I guess only the strong survived somehow. That was our team, basically. That was it.
How many were on the team?
I want to say around 10, because sometimes we played doubles too. So it was 10 to 12 maybe.
Okay, interesting. So why did you choose Bucknell?
Well, because my father went there.
Okay.
And then actually 4 out of 5 of my siblings went there. So we used to go back for homecoming and everything. And so my college search was, kind of funny because, I liked Bucknell. I knew I was familiar with it. I interviewed it at other places, but kind of thought, I think I always knew I was going to go to Bucknell. My father, I think, beat it into us a little bit. But, I have to be honest with you, and it was a great experience. I was a science major, chemistry for 2 years and bio, and I couldn't have asked for a better academic experience. And I kind of filled all my extras with business courses. So from doing independent study, going over to my, I played in the parent or the faculty student tennis tournament every year with my inorganic chem professor. And I think we were 3 years in that tournament, and I got to do independent study. I would regularly go to my professors' houses for dinner. It was amazing. I mean, when I compare that to some of my children's things, which, we even paid more money for, I don't think they had near the academic experience that I had. So I would say not only from the tennis aspect and the friend aspect, but academically, I don't think you could match it.
Right. Good.
I mean, I really felt like I got to intimately know my professors, and I can't say that my kids, my son went to Middlebury. He kind of knew his professors pretty well, but I don't know that the others really had as close an encounter that I had. Even the one at Colgate, it was okay, but not like Bucknell.
Good. Right. Thank
Jody,
you.
your father had a pretty good football career at Bucknell, didn't you?
No, that's my brother. My brother was
Oh,
captain of
brother.
the football team. My brother passed away, as you might know, and there's a scholarship in his name at Bucknell for a.
Oh, wow.
But yeah, in fact, they did really well when he was there. John was a presence. There's no doubt about it. He was a good man, a Sigma Chi, and I think Donna and Diana knew him. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
And, yeah. So, and he had a great Bucknell experience as well.
Good. Good. I have a little connection to the football team. My husband's the football coach here at Bucknell. Yeah.
There you go. Yeah.
Yeah. So they're actually having a spring season this year. So they're playing some games in the spring. So yeah, they had to, I think, plow the football field today so they could go out there and practice. And Dave's not used to that. So it's different for him.
No, I would say you shouldn't have any trouble recruiting to Bucknell.
It's been really nice. It's been
Plus,
wonderful.
the facilities are incredible. I mean, if I had to show somebody the courts we were playing on, I might not have gone there. Because the men, back when we were there, just to tell you how equal things were, the guys got like 12 wonderful courts over at center stage right by the student center, and we were hidden back by Tuscan Gym with cracks on the court. But it was fine. It was just fine, it was just a different world back then, and nobody complained about it. And I would say, in fact, I was talking with Donna and I think Louise about this, is we were so lucky because we were friends, and Donna, we all were friends. We were competitive, we were teammates, and, we wanted to win, but I think first and foremost, we supported each other so well. And, it was I think it was a great experience, the whole Bucknell team.
Good. Great. Thank you. Kirsten, how about you? How'd you find your way to Bucknell?
A little bit like Jody, my dad went there.
Okay.
So I grew up kind of knowing about it. And then I had an interest in engineering. So it seemed like it seemed like a good fit, and it was. But the tennis thing, it was kind of like after school sports when we started. I mean, our coach was Nora Elsie. They were women's phys ed teachers. It wasn't, and then Rose Ewan came on. Was it our sophomore or junior year? Anyway, and she was still part of the phys ed staff, but she was she was really the first sort of tennis coach that had, but it was, the first week of school and tryouts, I met these great women who I've stayed in touch with for 40 something years now. And as Jody said, I didn't know Jody. I've still never met Jody, but I feel like I know Jody because of Donna, Diana, and Louise. And was like this camaraderie right away out of the gate of these upper class women who you had something in common with. And it totally took hold for the entire 4 years and for 40 something years beyond. So, but we were, I know I would never even come close to making any kind of team at Bucknell in this day and age, but it added a really wonderful dimension to my Bucknell experience in the time that we were growing up and going through school. So
Good.
I don't think we were not a Division I sport. I didn't even know what Division I meant, quite honestly. It like wasn't even a factor. It was, as Jody said, you kind of checked off in your application that you had interests in things, and you could pursue them when you got to school if you felt like it. And so, and I'm glad I did.
Good. I know definitely your tennis team, you make lifelong friends. So.
And our season was fall and spring. Like it was kind of the whole, right? Wasn't it the whole year? But we also had the January plan in there. So it was very different, very different structure. And we played very different schools than what you do now. So,
Right. Well,
but we also drove the vans. We drove the vans to our matches. We did. On our spring break, we went to Coach Ewan's cousin's cabin or something on a lake somewhere in Virginia. It was just so totally different. And our uniform was, I think we had tennis pants like with Bucknell. Like,
oh yes, Sophia has no idea what the tennis.
That was our total uniform. That was it. That was all we got. So,
oh wow. Okay.
I think my senior year, Janice, didn't we have like sweatsuits that we got to borrow?
So, yeah. We finally graduated to that.
Yeah.
But let me go. I should cover. But you mentioned Nora Elsie. She and her husband owned the bookstore.
Yep. And her son ended up being our coach somehow. Like we needed something to do. Like, I'm not kidding. That's kind of, they like, time to go run. We're like, oh no, we don't run. We'll just keep hitting balls. We're like, we're not doing that. But it worked. It was great. Here we all are. It was great.
So Janice, how did you make your way to Bucknell?
Well, unlike the other two, my dad went to Lehigh. So no, and he thought that was not an appropriate school for a girl. So anyway, I really wanted to play tennis in college, and I had a scholarship to Penn State. Wow. But I knew that I probably wouldn't make the varsity team at Penn State because I was a decent high school player, but I wasn't the state champion or anything like that. And then I actually I had not looked at Bucknell, and I was accepted at Vanderbilt. But I grew up in Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and Vanderbilt was about 16-hour drive. And so my dad said, why don't we just take a drive up to Bucknell and let's just look at it. I said, okay. So it was only about 2 hours from Lancaster, maybe 2.5 from Lancaster up to Bucknell. So of course you walk on campus and you immediately fall in love with the school. So that's right. Had it not been for his urging to go look at Bucknell, I probably would have been at Vanderbilt.
Okay. Yeah.
There was no recruiting for the tennis team. It was basically just, if you want to play tennis, come down to the Tustin gym, bring your rackets and such a date and a time and play some matches. So I don't really know when the active recruiting process started, but certainly not when we were there.
So who would you say who was your rival when you played? Did you have a rival?
Well, probably Lehigh.
Was
in one.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah, same. It's still Lehigh. Yeah, Sophia? Yeah. It's still Lehigh.
Aren't we playing them soon? I think we're playing them soon.
We'll play them in April. Yeah.
We
Anyway.
played like really different schools too. We played like Bloomsburg and Lycoming and
Okay.
like Mary Baldwin and like all these like schools all over the place. That was very, very different schedule. So
Okay.
there was
Co-
no Patriot League. So that like that part didn't happen.
Coach,
Okay.
where did your husband go to school?
He went to Lehigh. So yeah. Yeah, he went to Lehigh. So Louise, so did you guys go to spring break when you were here? You're you're on mute. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
What were your spring break trips like?
you know, gosh, I don't have such a good memory for that. I might have to ask Jody or somebody else to help. I know once that we did go somewhere to some, tournament, but I must say I don't remember the consistent every spring we would go to
Okay.
the same tournament.
Mhm.
We went to a tournament, Mary Baldwin.
Yeah.
Virginia.
It was like
Oh.
three
Right.
colleges, because I remember I played the windiest match of my life up on some hill there.
And we did come to Pittsburgh once, but that was also with a couple of the guys from from obviously the men's team.
Men's team.
At the
And
Monroeville
that was
Mall.
not spring break. It was more over the winter term, but that was an indoor tournament. That was kind of fun.
Okay. So
Yeah,
how did
we
you
had
make
a
your way
close
to
relationship with the men's team? There were a lot of kind of friendships and things with the men's team, and so that was kind of fun. I don't know if that's true now too, but
Yeah, I think so. So I think they get together once in a while. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
have a different Bucknell story. I actually didn't want to go to Bucknell. Williams was my first choice because my brother, who was a year older, was at Bucknell, and he and I were always really competitive. And so I didn't want to go to the school where he was, but
Mhm.
I didn't get accepted to Williams. And so when I went to Bucknell, I remember sitting in the back of the car, like, pouting the whole way and not wanting to be there. And then my parents dropped me off at freshman camp, and I loved it. I had a blast. And, from that introduction to freshman camp and all the way through
Mhm.
my 4 years, it was just wonderful, mainly because of the friendships and the people and the professors and the classes, as Jody said.
Yes.
And I was English and economics, and my brother was in chemical engineering, and we actually became really great friends. He helped me through
Oh.
the basic computer education math course that I had to have, and it was wonderful. So being there together at that age in our life, it changed our relationship. And he lives 5 minutes away from me now.
Okay. All right. So you guys are still close.
Yeah, and then my younger brother went to Bucknell, and he lives about 20 minutes away.
Wow. That's great. Well, that's good. Dada, how about you? How'd you get to Bucknell?
Well, Casey Jones, class of 76, member of the tennis team at Bucknell, was our tennis pro. And he was so enthusiastic that there honestly was no disappointing Casey. I know some of the people on the call know Casey, and he's just the best. So he brought it up, and that was kind of it. He was hell bent on it. And actually one day I was sitting in my high school class, and I looked over, and Casey was in the doorway of the high school and beckoning to me. And somehow he had found out before I did that I had been accepted, and he was so
Wow.
happy for me that was that.
That's great. That's awesome. Hi, Diana. How about you? Tell us your Bucknell story.
Well,
Hi.
similar. Casey was a big influence. He invited my sister and I to homecoming when he was going back to Bucknell. And that was actually the first time that we went to Bucknell, I believe. And we just loved it. And he introduced us, I'm pretty sure that same weekend, to Jody and Louise. And we met a lot of the tennis players, and we met the coach, and we just, I just fell in love with it. I was a business major. I'll say that my education was superb. Even I went to MBA classes after, and thanks to Bucknell, those classes were a breeze. I feel like I actually had a graduate degree by the time when I super education. And again, the camaraderie, like everyone said, our tryouts, you just decided if you wanted to play tennis and went on down to the courts, and kind of the same thing. It just kind of got whittled down to here's the 10 people who are going to be on the team. That's it. And I think we had some sweats, maybe that we were given, so we knew we were on the team.
Right, right.
And we all drove the van.
So, excuse me, did you have indoor courts at the time?
Yes, well, in the field house, once the field house was built,
Okay.
it was fantastic. Yeah, we played all year round.
Right.
Got there in August and just continued through. Definitely, I remember spring break trip or two. We played tournaments, hit the road, went, went overnight, whatever. And it's just a wonderful experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. It was best decision that I could have made, and I'm just very grateful.
That's awesome. Cool. How about you, Sophia? How did you make your way to Bucknell?
Me?
Yes, you.
Okay, I'll share. So I grew up in Venezuela up until I was 18. I lived there and I played a lot of tournaments. And I knew from an early age that I wanted to come to the US for college, and that tennis would be a great way to experience college and play sports at a high level that I still wanted to play. So I contacted this, it's like an agency. They give you kind of like your advisor that helps you find a school that matches what you're looking for. And they saw me play. They helped me make the recruiting video. And I hadn't heard of Bucknell before, but they told me about Bucknell and they put me in contact with the previous coach, and she saw my video and then we got in touch, and it was pretty quick after that. And I saw how Bucknell matched my interests academically too. I knew that it had a strong engineering department and everything worked well, and I'm very happy with my decision. I came in 2017, so it's been 3.5 years that I've been here in the US. And I've learned, it's been the 3 years where I've learned the most in my life. Like it's been incredible. I'm super grateful for that.
Good.
And I have one question that I want to ask. I'm enjoying your story so much, and I wish I wish there were videos of how the campus was and of you guys playing when you were here. I'm having a blast listening to your stories. But so since you all have had long careers after graduating, and I'm a senior now, I'm about to start my career. I'm a computer science and engineering major. That's why I got excited when I think Jody mentioned her daughter was in AI, artificial intelligence. Yeah, so I got excited when you mentioned that. But do you have any advice on anyone can jump in here? If you have any advice on networking and finding a job after college, or navigating your career kind of in this beginning years.
I would say start networking now, because I think, I know I would like to help Bucknell grads. I think, every time somebody's come and approached me, as a Bucknell grad, I've tried to give them and open any door I can open, and start linking in with other Bucknell grads and seeing where they are and seeing if you can get an informational interview, if you will, if they're working for a company that might have some openings in something you might be interested in. At the very least, they're going to educate you on different career choices and give you kind of an insight into their company, so that even if you go for the second interview, you're sort of more prepared and you're understanding more about that industry and that company. But I would think that most Bucknellians had a pretty good experience and a warm place in their heart for for Bucknell, and would want to help you. So just reach out soon if you're a senior.
That's right. I mean, the easiest way to get a job, because so many people are applying for jobs, is if you personally know someone, or again, if somebody can recommend you, and that kind of connection makes all the difference. And any opportunity that's offered too, as long as it's kind of in your wheelhouse of what you're interested in, take it and learn from it. And you might not get your ideal job offer to begin with, but something can lead to something else. And so the point is to kind of start and then continue to build contacts and connections. And I'm sure you'll do really well, but it is a very tough world right now, but it's, you know, it's getting better. Vaccines are on the way.
Yes. So, well, I'm gonna change Sophia's question a little bit, Janice. I'm gonna start with you. Do you have any advice for Sophia as a member of the tennis team? Advice in the sense that, you know, how she should take this time while she's here as a tennis player. Like, I know other alumni have been suggesting that, you know, this time flies by. So is there any advice that you can give her how to make this time here for her at Bucknell like the best?
Well, I guess, is that me?
You're
okay.
That's you.
Yeah, I would just take advantage of every opportunity you have and just enjoy the time while you're there before you have other commitments and other responsibilities. And I guess what I too would say is even after you graduate, stay involved with your tennis. I haven't, the only time I've stopped playing is when I've been too injured to play or I've had some surgical orthopedic surgery. But there are so many ways to stay involved with tennis. There's volunteer opportunities, coaching. I coached a middle school team for a long time. You know, USTA leagues and all that you have that passion and you have that gift. And my advice would be to enjoy that at Bucknell and continue to live that passion that you have for tennis.
Okay. Diana, how about you? Do you have anything you wish you could redo your time here at Bucknell that Sophia needs to make sure that
Not at all, except
you did everything?
Clock. I go back again. Does that count? No, I think that's the approach should be, this is a very limited time for you. I knew that on day one and I knew that on the last day. And so do what you want to do during that short period of time. Don't leave anything out. I have just, again, very fond memories, as we said. And yeah, you don't want to be graduating with the shoulda, woulda, coulda. So just go for it and get involved in as much as you can. Burn the candle on both ends. That's what I did. Do everything. You only have 4 years. Squeeze a lot in.
That's true. Kirsten, any advice for Sophia?
You know, it's such a different landscape now, but you know, we kind of had a job board that we it was like the ride board, you know, for how we were exposed to what was out there for us. So, but that made sort of the networking and taking advantage of anybody you know or anybody you hear of whose interest has any connection to anything you might want to pursue, even if, as Louise said, it's not the ideal start. Bucknells are known for being pretty hardworking and enterprising and willing to roll up their sleeves and do the work. So, and I think having a background in athletics in this day and age proves that even more so. So, you know, I think whatever, you know, alumni or current students or parents or whatever that have any remote knowledge of the areas that you want to pursue, you know, with email and texting and things, it's really easy to just put out a feeler for and you know, you've come all this way from a really far away place with a really different culture and world. So I'm sure you're not bashful about and afraid to stick your neck out, again and even more. So, but I think you also probably have to have a little bit of patience right now, because the world is pretty topsy-turvy. So
That's good. Thank you. Donna, do you have any advice for Sophia while she's here at Bucknell?
Well, I think honestly, everything's been said, and I just ditto the remarks. Very well put. And I am confident that everything is going to work out wonderfully for you, Sophia. So keep the faith and enjoy your last semester.
Mhm.
Cool. Next question, Donna, I'm going to start with you. So when you got the email from Todd to participate in this call this evening to talk about your time at Bucknell, what memories started to come back for you? Which ones stood out? Which ones made you smile?
Well, there are so many.
Yes.
Since I think I was either with Jody or saw Jody the next day after we got the invite, we already rehashed so many funny stories. I'm not sure we should publish, but there were many, and a lot of them center around the fact that we got to drive the van, and that was a lot of fun. I think on a different note, clearly the camaraderie with everyone on the team has just been priceless. I do remember something that has stuck with me. I believe we were at University of Maryland, and since there's no game clock on tennis matches, the last match went after midnight. We were finally finished. I think we had to show up the next day at 8 a.m. for the first match. We gather up, we go to the van, which was unlocked, and we can't find the key. And we're emptying our bags out, we're schlepping back to the courts, we're looking under the bleachers. We can't find the key, it's 2 a.m. And finally, the key was in the driver's door in that little well.
Way.
And to this day, if I can't find my car keys, I go out and look there.
Well, where was the coach during this time? If you guys are driving the van, where's the coach?
The inmates were ruling the asylum back then, trust me.
Wow.
Maybe
You
you
got
can
the picture back then?
ask Jody that question.
Did she meet you at the tournament or the courts?
Well,
They were there.
Love her.
We did have a coach. I think at that time, Jody was a senior when I was a freshman, and well, our coach was with us, but there was just a lot of, it was just a freer society.
would you let us drive the van?
I don't think it's allowed.
I'm just kidding.
There's some liability
We were
with that.
very independent.
So I want to tell you how that might have started. We went and played at Gettysburg when I was, I don't know, maybe I guess was a freshman, and I got down there and I was so car sick from the van. I was in the and I was bouncing up and down. I got there, I got out, and I was like, I can't play a tennis match. I'm going to. And so from then on in, she said, well, how about you want to drive the van? I'm like, sure. So that was it. I think that's how it actually started, because I had gotten so car sick from that 12 passenger van that we had bouncing up and down to Gettysburg. And then she let us go.
Okay.
and then we would, I used to take it and hijack and go to the nearest ice cream place after every match. So I knew all that ice cream places everywhere we played. I'm a alcoholic.
Jody, anything else that comes to mind besides the van?
Well, we used to play a tournament in the winter that Donna was talking about at Monroeville Mall, and that also got like 30 to 40 colleges. And it was, you played one set each, women's singles, doubles, men's singles, men's doubles, and mixed doubles. And I remember Peter Krieger and I, he would say to me, if you can hit 15 backhand volleys in a row, we would do these bets while we're on the court, because it was just for fun. And so then I would try and take everything as a backhand volley, or I'd get 3 overheads in a row. So he's trying to move around and do that. But it was, you could hoot and holler. And then of course, what I was laughing about with Donna was, of course, where did we go to dinner that night but a smorgasbord? I mean, can you think of the worst place to take a team afterward is to you can eat all you want, and then we had to get back on the court the next day at the crack of dawn after we ate who knows what at the smorgasbord where everybody got sick from eating it. Don't you remember that? I mean, it was just, we had some crazy times, and like I said, I really feel like the inmates were ruling the asylum because I think the guys picked the smorgasbord.
That sounds like so much fun playing mixed doubles. Did the
More fun.
did the men's team travel with you?
Yeah, we all went out to Monroeville Mall. It was,
Oh, wow.
I think it was during the Jan plan. It was during that January timeframe, and it was like a long weekend. And you know, like even big schools like Ohio State went, because I remember playing this girl from Ohio State who was on a full scholarship, and I thought at the time she was 7 foot tall because she came up and I put my hand out to shake her hand, and she took her hand from above like this. And that was good for a good 3 games. And I was like down like 3-love, and I'm like, wait a minute, I can play with this girl. And I really undershot myself. I think I ended up losing 6-4 to her, but I gave her the first 3 games just on the handshake. I learned a good lesson. Say, I'm not gonna let anybody intimidate me from then on in.
That is a good lesson. Thank you. Janice, what are some memories that stick out to you? Oh, you're on mute.
There we go. Okay, here we go. Kristen, you might have to help me here, but I remember going up to, well, let me back up. I think that the construction of the field house was a huge memory for our class because we came there in 77, and then in 78, the field house was constructed. And before that, I remember driving down to Selinsgrove to an indoor court somewhere down in Selinsgrove. You turn to the right and it was up on the hill. I don't know if you still use that facility. Maybe it's not even there. But then when we had the field house, that was a big memory. And then I remember going up to Colgate and playing, and it was snowing, and we had to play in their indoor facility, and it was hardwood floor. It was like playing on a skating rink. The ball just skid. It would skid. It was crazy. I distinctly remember playing, and it was snowing, so we were on the hardwood floors playing.
Was it like
the ball just skids? It doesn't come up. Yeah.
But like, what was the facility? It's not a tennis facility? Was it like?
No, it's just like an indoor, like an indoor gym. But yeah, that's where we had to play the match.
Okay, I understand, like a basketball court type of hardwood.
Right,
okay.
Right,
Okay.
Right.
Got it. Louise, how about you? What are some memories?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay. Ice cream cones, Perkins. We always would go to Perkins and have a really great breakfast or lunch. And just the routine of practicing every day. It was such a welcome break during the day. You might have stayed up late studying or something and had classes during the day, and then you suddenly get to go to tennis practice, which was always in the later afternoon. And that was when we were able to, get together with these, wonderful friends who over 4 years kind of heard all of the struggles we were going through or the successes, and we laughed and shared all those moments as we were kind of practicing. And so that's what I really remember. Just the camaraderie word has been used a lot, but just that. And then of course, in the matches you wanted to win, you wanted to represent Bucknell well. And I think my win record is actually because Jody would often have the number one. Well, she played number one and took the tough competition, and I would get somebody who wasn't as good. So I think my stats looked a lot better. Thank you, Jody, for being my shield for all those years, for 3 out of 4 of my years. And it just was wonderful. I at first was disregarding the Bucknell email because of a lot of things going on. My parents both died of COVID, age 99 and 97 in November. So we've been dealing with that. And but I saw then Jody's name in the reply of the email. And as soon as I saw Jody's name, I thought, hey, I want to see Jody again because it had been too long.
Aw.
Kirsten, I've been able to see a couple of times. We, by chance, ran into each other in Jackson Hole, Wyoming. Who would have thought?
Oh,
But
wow.
I mean, that was just a total random fluke and happened one year. And then she came to Pittsburgh a couple times. And Diana, since my son lives in Connecticut, I've been able to get together with. But I am so grateful that you did pull this together and that Jody responded and got me involved to see all of you again, because I just loved those years. And each of you means so much to me. And Janice, there was a question about who we admire and stuff. And the day Janice tried out for the team, we were all older. We all looked like, oh my God, her strokes are so beautiful. You always had the most beautiful strokes. And when you were joining our team, it was like, wow, somebody here now can really play tennis. So we were happy to see you.
Aw, those are good memories. Kirsten, how about you? What memories come to mind?
Oh, well, I think I am the one who gave everybody their whatever losses they had, they played with me in doubles. I had no idea how to play doubles when I got to Bucknell, and now I only play doubles, but because my body parts only allow me to do that. But in any event, I mean, I'm just smiling through the whole thing, listening to Louise and Donna and Diana and Janice. I mean, Janice was like, the bar was way up here with Janice's tennis. It was so superior and beautiful. And I think I was down here having like a much better time, like a really good time. But one of the things, I was an engineer, and you couldn't study abroad then as an engineer. So I glommed onto some Susquehanna program in the summer to go to Oxford to study. And I think I don't know if Donna talked me into doing it or I talked Donna into doing it, but we went together for like 7 weeks to Oxford. And we, like the first day, we found these grass courts literally in a cow pasture. And we showed up every single day and played tennis on this. It really wasn't a grass court. It was kind of a pasture with a net in it, and played tennis with the cows every single day. But it was just like an extension of this great Bucknell experience that I was gifted to have as part of this like neophyte tennis program at a time in the 70s when women's sports hadn't really even come into its own yet. And so it was, in hindsight, it's like part of the great memories is being part of this thing that you innocently had no idea you were. I really had no idea I was really part of anything except this amazing group of really smart, talented women who were also really fun, really nice, and have I've stayed in contact with for a really, for the rest of my life. So like this common bond that keeps you together. It was great.
Yeah, it's wonderful to see. Diana, how about you?
Oh, well, I think as most have said, the travel really made a lot of memories. We had some great times on the road, and that's a very bonding experience. And also, as Louise said, just knowing that every day we had practice, we weren't traveling. And so it was a lot of consistency. I don't think there was a day at Bucknell that I did not play tennis. I played tennis every day for hours. It was my second major, and I enjoyed every minute of it. It never dawned on me not to do that. There was really no stop. Maybe the dark if we were playing outside, but then we had some courts that managed to get lit up, so that was fun. So yeah, I just played a tremendous amount of tennis the whole time I was there. But that was what I wanted to do. One of the reasons that I was happy to go to Bucknell was that I felt like I would have 4 years of a chance to play tennis as much as I wanted to play. So that was a great thing and a great memory. And obviously spending so much time with everyone every single day, you're going to form a lot of friendships and camaraderie. And I've just always been so grateful for that. So it was a huge experience, huge part of my overall memory of Bucknell. It would not have been the same for me to go to any school without the tennis that I experienced and the friends that I made through tennis. So again, always so grateful for that.
It's definitely my favorite question to ask. I love hearing the stories that you guys tell, and I can just really tell the friendship and the bond that you all have. So it's really nice to see. Well, I have one more question, and Diana, I'll start with you. So as their coach, I really want their time that they spend here at Bucknell to be some of the best 4 years of their life. What advice can you give me as their coach to help make that goal come true for me and for the players on the team?
Well, I think as a coach, building a team that supports everyone supports each other is probably primary. You know, again, we talked about our experiences at different matches, and I always knew if I looked to the sideline that there was a team behind me. And to feel that elevates your game so much. It really does. You're not just winning for you. Sometimes if you're the last match on the court, the last thing you want to do is let your teammates down if it's a tight match and maybe it's all tied and it's up to you to win. You really want to pull through for your teammates. I think the plus for us was we also got to play doubles. Oftentimes it was all the same people. We just bring one team, we play singles, we take a water break, and we go back out and play doubles. And so again, you did not feel at all like it was an individual sport ever. It was a team, and that's how we played, and we supported each other the whole time. And I think that elevated our tennis. So I would always encourage that.
Okay, thank you. Donna, what advice can you give me to make sure that they have some of the best 4 years of their lives here?
Well, I have every confidence that you have it covered. And between, you know, honestly, just the fact that you've taken the time to talk to people that graduated 40 years ago is very considerate. And although the world has changed a lot in that time, I think that ultimately people have not. And I'm sure that you recognize that building a team and it comes from within, and both the women that are playing and the women that are on your staff will be completely dedicated to providing a wonderful opportunity for the players, and they will take it from there. You know, give them a chance, and just like us, you know, we will run with the ball. We're all looking to have the same great experience, no matter what generation it is, I think. So
Thank you.
I know you can do it.
No. Thank you.
I do.
Thank you. Jody?
Am I unmuted?
Yes.
So I coached 15 years youth sports after.
Okay.
I did soccer, basketball, and softball.
Mhm.
Because I love working with kids, and I think I always wanted to keep it fun. Somehow, you know, there's so much heaviness in the world, and tennis can be a very heavy sport anyway. You put a lot of pressure on yourself on the court.
Yes.
And everybody that's playing, I'm sure, especially now, is at a high enough level that the pressure's coming from within. You don't need to add to that pressure, is how I always felt. So if you can kind of keep the fun in it and keep everybody communicating between you and between each other, I mean, you can see that we communicate pretty well. Everybody was on our team, you know, was pretty expressive, and but it also made us all friends for that. It wasn't like we just came together to try to beat each other and go home. To Diana's point, well said, I think we always came to support one another. And if you can foster that environment where people are helping each other, tennis is such an individual sport that, you know, to try to form a team is, I think, a bigger challenge than a soccer team or a basketball team, where clearly you need your other players to perform. So I think if you can foster that, you know, spirit of congeniality between the group, it's going to be that much more fun and much more of a positive experience, which clearly it was for all of us.
Yes, I can tell. Thank you. Kirsten? Any advice, please?
Yeah, I think remembering that tennis is just one piece of the whole Bucknell experience, and that the academics and the education are really the driving force. And you're not at tennis camp; you're at a really great university. I was an engineer, and I struggled at times, just even time-wise with tennis and the labs and things that I had to do. And Rose Ewan, the coach, always, she said, the sun's still going to rise tomorrow. So helping your kids, your team as individuals, remember that and keep that in mind, that tennis is not everything. It's just another really wonderful dimension that is part of their overall experience, but it's not the be all and end all. It is not the only aspect. It's not the breaking part of Bucknell. It shouldn't be. And as a coach, I think keeping your finger on that pulse for each individual, because they all have their own thresholds for how to keep a balance in their lives, is really, really critical.
Okay, thank you. Janice?
Oops, I lost my picture. I'm a giraffe.
That's a great picture.
That's on the recording.
Oh,
Sorry.
very cute.
I became a giraffe. Okay. I think I agree with what Jody said. I coached a middle school tennis team for a while,
Okay.
and we weren't the greatest team, but we sure did have a lot of fun. And the camaraderie was really great, and I think that's really important. I agree with that, and I think if you keep it fun for them at Bucknell, then it'll be fun for them as alums when they graduate to continue playing. And that, back to the networking, that's another form of networking. You can use your tennis in that aspect too. So I would say just to keep it. It is a very serious sport now. At the way they do all the recruiting and it's a full-time commitment. But just to keep it fun and light, and encourage them to continue with their tennis with that passion after they graduate.
Sounds good. Thank you. Save the best for last, Louise. Oh, you're on mute.
Just like you want your players to enjoy their years on the team, enjoy your years on the team.
Oh.
And that's so important, and you will be remembered. So that's no pressure there, but just each one of us remembers the name of our tennis coach at Bucknell, and we do forget a lot, but we remember the name of our tennis coach, and we remember exactly what she looked like, and we remember how she cared about the team. And so I think it's really awesome that you have the opportunity to coach these young women and to be part of their 4 years. And so good luck and carry on.
Thank you. I have 2 sons and I have no daughters, but I always say that the 10 girls on the tennis team are my daughters, and I care very much for them. And you guys, I took a lot of lessons away from this conversation tonight, so thank you. I understand that there's a balance between academics and tennis and their social life, but I'll remember to have fun. So, and I'm really happy that Sophia was able to hear everything that you guys said. So thank you very much. You guys were absolutely wonderful. Really enjoyed
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you.
Good luck to
Thank you so
you.
much.
Bye,
Best of
everybody.
luck.
All right,
Go
so in
Bison.
closing,
Best of
ladies, I'm going
luck.
to make some comments in closing. And I first want to turn our attention to Sophia. And Sophia, thank you so much again for joining us tonight and taking the time out. And we wish you the best of luck this spring. I certainly know, as does everyone else on this call, all the sacrifices you guys have made as student athletes at Bucknell to come back and try and compete in this pandemic, and how crazy it is and how things change from hour to hour. And and really, you know, what you're all doing to keep yourselves and your teammates safe and in your own little bubble so that you can compete. And, you know, as it was mentioned, the academic part is paramount, and we all know that. But we also know that you came here to play Division I tennis, and we hope you get that opportunity this spring. So best of luck to you. I hope you're on those courts behind me kicking this spring, and good luck to you and your teammates.
Good
Thank
luck.
you so much.
Good
And
luck.
then,
Thank
ladies,
you.
wow.
Thank
Right.
you.
Ladies, I want to thank you guys for joining us tonight. And no matter how insignificant you may have thought it was when you played tennis, it wasn't that big a deal that you were playing tennis at Bucknell. You did pave the way for all the future women's tennis programs at the university. And I think you would all be very proud of the team and how they take care of themselves and how they act on the court and how they represent the university. So thank you all for doing what you did for Bucknell and what you do now for Bucknell. I know Kirsten does a lot of volunteer work for the university as well as being a trustee, and many of you support the program, and our student athletes could not do what they do without alumni support. So thank you so much for that. And for those of you that tuned in tonight to watch the show, we thank you for doing so, and go Bison.